Chapter 12, Shy West. For the rest of the winter, I spent most of my time playing football with Papo's brothers. The Lords confronted me every chance they got, not letting me forget about the sweater. Because of that, I stopped going by Tuli or to Maria's apartment. I did, however, go every day to pick Jenny up after school and walk her home. I had not been in school since leaving for Puerto Rico. I don't think Hector even considered enrolling me. At Jenny's, I began to get to know a lot of Latin kings through Little Man. I would get high with them. Sometimes I'd hide out in Jenny's bedroom till everybody went to sleep, and then we'd have sex. When I didn't get the chance to hide out, I would come back and climb up to her window. Jenny was always ready and willing. In fact, she would get upset if I didn't show up to have sex with her. Jenny became more open-minded about sex. She finally let me perform oral sex on her, and she learned to love it. She also became more aware of what to do for my pleasure. Jenny and I became kind of obsessed with sex. We rarely talked about anything other than what we would try the next time we got together. Jenny would take her father's pornographic magazines so I could see them. Most of the time, she would point out a picture of a position she wanted to try. Over time, Jenny seemed to become more experienced with sex than I was. She would often tell me to slow down or not to be so rough. She even went as far as showing me how I should perform oral sex on her so that it wouldn't hurt her. I hadn't even known that I was hurting her. We learned a lot of things together that Maria didn't teach me. Jenny was great. Being with her kept my mind off the situation at home and with the Spanish lords. I still, however, fantasized about other women, older women for the most part. Whenever I had sex with Jenny, I would fantasize that I was with an older woman, usually ones I had seen on television, such as Marilyn Monroe, Jacqueline Smith, Farrah Fawcett, Raquel Welch, and others. I had sex with all of them through Jenny. When I saw them on television, I would smile as if I had already been with them. That winter, Joker from the Spanish Lords decided to leave Chicago for Puerto Rico. He had beaten an attempted murder rap and didn't have the desire to hang around anymore. In the days before this trip, Joker was excited. It will be a new start, he said. Several going away parties were given in his honor. Guys were talking about taking that same route as Joker. The brother was being smart. He predicted a destructive future if he stayed on the path he was following and decided to get out before it was too late. The day before Joker was to leave for Puerto Rico, he went to get a haircut at a barber shop on North Avenue and Campbell Street. As he sat in the barber's chair, a guy wearing a ski mask walked in and shot him. Joker died right there in the barber's chair. He made it to Puerto Rico, but in a coffin. Rumor was that the son of the barbershop owner was a Spanish Cobra. The barber himself supposedly had some kind of gang affiliation. As far as I know, nobody got arrested for Joker's murder. For the Spanish lords, it was an act deserving revenge. Those who had thought about following Joker's lead found a reason not to. Warm weather was now in the air. The trees were sprouting leaves. The cubs were in spring training, all signs that winter was finally over. It was an exceptionally warm spring that year. By the middle of April, it seemed like summer. The lords decided it was time to take action against the Shy West. They came by Hector several times looking for me, but I was always at Jenny's house. The lords began saying that I was hiding from them. Papo saw me at Clemente waiting for Jenny and approached me in a hostile manner. "Trying to hide, punk? Go by Tuli today or you're dead," he said. His attitude took me by complete surprise. I kept forgetting he was a lord and I wasn't. I told Jenny about my predicament with the lords and she understood why I couldn't walk her home that day. Jenny was actually excited about the idea that I was going to take part in a hit. "You're my man. You can get that sweater. I know you can," Jenny says as she kissed me. I promised that I would see her that night. Jenny got on the bus. I walked to Tuli and sat on the front stairs of the Lords' clubhouse waiting for the lords. It didn't take long for them to arrive. Pothead sat next to me but didn't say a word. Papo arrived and said, "Make sure he doesn't go anywhere," then walked toward the back. I was surrounded by the Spanish lords. Most of them were talking about me, but none were talking to me. "Yo, come on back," somebody yelled from the back of the building. I was sandwiched by lords. They wanted to make sure I couldn't get away from them. We walked through a gangway to the back of the building and into the clubhouse. Inside the clubhouse, everybody sat along the sides of the room. I was left standing in the middle, in front of a table occupied by Little Chino, Rican, Crazy One, and another guy I had never seen before. Papo was told to join me. Rican began preaching about what the colors meant to them and what the consequences were for losing them. He said that the consequences are twice as bad for those that lose the colors and are not the Lord's. In the meantime, Crazy One kept mumbling, "I want my sweater, punk. I want my sweater back." Rican introduced the guy I didn't know as Mouse. He explained that Mouse would be joining us on our mission. Rican handed each of us a gun. Our mission was to either get the sweater back or kill one of the Shy West. Failure to do one or the other would result in a violation for Papo and an all-out beating for me. Papo quickly agreed with them. I got nervous as hell and remained quiet. I watched as Papo put the gun inside of his waist pants, and I did the same with mine. Mouse headed toward the door. Papo followed. I hesitated, but then followed them too. "If you don't bring my sweater back, you're dead," Crazy One yelled as I walked away. As I walked out, Papo came back in. "We're going to wait until it gets dark. Mouse will be back for us," Papo announced. We sat there killing time. Papo was laughing and joking around with the lords and getting high. I was sitting on the floor in the corner, being ignored. It seemed like an eternity before Mouse walked in and said, "Let's go, brothers, let's go." Papo received handshakes and hugs as he departed. I received evil looks and threats. There is a very fine line between being welcomed by and being in danger with a gang. Even those closest to you can become hostile in an instant. Being an actual member has its advantages, but these can disappear at any moment. Papo was a member of the Spanish Lords, yet he was being forced to put his life in danger for a sweater, just as I was. We left the clubhouse with Mouse and went out the alley where there was a car waiting for us. It was a green Ford LTD with a black vinyl top. There was a girl inside. I made her out to be the girl that was in the clubhouse the very first time I went there, the one that cursed Sexpot out. Her name was Maribel, but they called her Morena. Morena was a Latin queen, which was the female faction of the Latin kings. She was also carrying a gun. Mouse asked for our guns and walked off to hide them so we could get high. He came back, got in the car, and pulled out a plastic bag full of marijuana. Mouse and Morena rolled several joints, lit them up, and passed them to us. While we smoked, Mouse told us that he had cruised by the Shy West's hood on his way over. They were hanging out at a schoolyard. He said we were waiting for them to get drunk. That way, they would be easier to surprise. Morena sat quietly, moving only to pass or receive a joint. About an hour passed and not a word was spoken. Finally, Morena said, "Let's go, man." Mouse retrieved the guns, handed them back to us, and we were on our way. I looked at Papo as I tried to stick the gun in my pocket. I watched as he put his gun inside the waist of his pants. I did the same, but it was too uncomfortable, so I held it in my hand instead. I was scared. I kept looking Papo's way to see if he was as scared as I was. Papo didn't look at me once during the ride to the Shy West's hood. He was playing this macho role, saying how he couldn't wait to kill a Shy West. The only one who looked my way was Morena. I quickly turned my face away from her so she wouldn't notice my fear. I looked out the window, watching the buildings go by and thinking about what was about to happen. I thought about the gun I was carrying. I convinced myself that I would use it. I couldn't, however, bring myself to even imagine how it would feel to pull the trigger or shoot another human being. How could I? I had never done it before. For a moment, I felt as if I was alone. I could not hear or see the others in the car with me. Papo brought me back to reality by bumping me in the arm with his elbow. "We're almost there, man. We're almost there," he said. We were on Augusta Avenue. Mouse told us to get ready. We were almost at our destination. The Shy West hung out by a school on Augusta Avenue. We arrived there and walked quietly through the playground toward the Mobile classrooms, where we heard loud rock music. The Shy West were partying between two Mobile classrooms out of sight from the main street. We split up into two groups to cut off the only two exits available to the Shy West. Papo and I headed toward the back while Mouse and Morena covered the front. Then we jumped out. The Shy West freaked out. The guy who took the Lord's sweater from me was there with the sweater on. To show his disrespect for the Lords, he had taken off the emblem and had sewed it back on upside down. There were also 3 other guys and 3 girls. Mouse instructed me to get what we came for. I pointed the gun at the guy with the sweater and demanded he give it to me. Papo kept saying, "Shoot him, shoot him." The girls with the Chi-Town West began crying and telling the guy to give me the sweater. He had other ideas. He walked toward me and said, "Kill me, punk." The fear I felt was evident to everyone present. My body shook as if the ground was trembling. I broke into a cold sweat and just stared at this guy as he said things like, "You fucking coward, shoot," and "All you fucking Ricans are cowards." All I could think about was why he just wasn't giving me the sweater. But no, he kept asking me to kill him and I couldn't. Mouse took the gun from my hand and shot the guy in the leg twice. Morena also opened fire. She was shooting anything that moved. Papo also joined in the shooting party. Mouse took the sweater from the guy, stood over him, and prepared to shoot him again. There was a girl on the ground next to him, clutching a wound on her arm. The guy noticed that Mouse was about to shoot him again and tried to cover himself with the girl's body. Mouse pulled the trigger. I watched in shock as the bullet entered one side of the girl's face and came out the other. Mouse again pulled the trigger, and again he hit the girl, this time in the chest. I kept seeing the bullet strike the girl and the blood splatter over and over in my mind. I heard police sirens, but I couldn't move to run. I felt someone grab me and pull me. I thought it was the cops, but then realized it was Morena. She had ran, but came back for me. We jumped over the fence surrounding the school and ran down an alley. We could hear and see the police cars zoom by with sirens blaring and lights flashing. We knew we were not going to make it out of that neighborhood without running into the cops, so we started looking for a safe place to hide. We ran through a gangway and found an open door. We went inside and locked the door behind us. From inside that hallway, we could hear police officers walking in the alley. One of them even tried the door and moved on when he found it locked. We heard him tell his partner that he couldn't wait to get his hands on some spics. We sat quietly with no movement for about an hour. Morena was going to open the door to see if it was clear to leave, but we heard voices coming from the alley. We decided to wait it out right there. I was trembling and tears were running down my cheeks. Morena comforted me, assuring me that everything would be okay. Morena and I talked in whispers for the rest of the night. I told her about my problems with my mother, Pedro and Hector. Morena told me about her ex-boyfriend. He was a Latin king. He had been shot and killed by the vice lords. She met him after her mom kicked her out. Morena told me she was an only child. Apparently her mother's boyfriend didn't like her. He tried to sexually abuse her. When she prevented him, he told her mother that she had come on to him. Morena's mother believed him and threw her out. She began living with her boyfriend only because she had nowhere else to go. Eventually, she learned to love him. One day, they were walking hand in hand down Damon Avenue by Wicker Park when 2 shots were heard. He grabbed her and then fell to the ground. He was shot twice in the back and bled to death right there on the street. Morena shed tears as she told me this story. She explained that was why she didn't care about killing people. She told me that the incident opened her eyes to reality. She advised me to open my own eyes before it was too late. Morena told me that to survive street life, I had to be ruthless. You have to learn to hurt people before they have a chance to hurt you, Morena said. She advised me not to trust anybody and not to do anything I didn't want to do. Be a leader, not a follower, she said. Always be a leader. To be a leader and not a follower meant I had to be cold-blooded, violent, and uncaring. It wasn't right to feel empathy for the suffering of others. I wasn't supposed to react to the sight of blood dripping out of a human body. I was supposed to ignore and even laugh at the screams for mercy and the terror. Death was supposed to be a normal thing that would make me a leader, not a follower. I would hear this phrase many times in my life. Only later did I understand that it never fit the occasion.